In the heart of rural America, where cornfields stretch like golden seas under the endless sky, a quiet farm girl named Emily hides a secret that could shatter worlds. Her identical twin sister, Sarah, isn't just any soldier, she's a ghost from Delta Force, forged in the fires of covert ops that make Navy SEALs look like weekend warriors. But when a gang of ruthless bullies targets Emily, mistaking her for an easy mark, they unleash Sarah's fury in a showdown that turns a sleepy town into a battlefield of justice and revenge. Buckle up, patriots, this is the story of how one woman's hidden legend rewrites the rules of payback. If you're loving these epic tales of American grit and hidden heroes, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. Your support keeps these stories coming strong. Emily Harper wiped the sweat from her brow as she steered the old John Deere tractor across the family farm in Willow Creek, Iowa. The sun beat down mercilessly on the endless rows of soybeans, but Emily didn't mind. This was her world, simple, honest, grounded in the soil her grandparents had tilled before her. At 28, she was the epitome of small-town America, freckled cheeks, ponytail tucked under a faded baseball cap, and a smile that could charm the grumpiest neighbor. But beneath that unassuming exterior lay a bond unbreakable, one that connected her to a life far removed from the quiet rhythms of rural life. Her identical twin sister, Sarah, had chosen a different path, one shrouded in secrecy and danger. Sarah Harper was a legend in shadows. Recruited straight out of high school for her uncanny marksmanship, honed on squirrels in those same Iowa fields, she had vanished into the elite world of Delta Force. Officially, Delta didn't exist, but Sarah did, operating in the blackest ops across the globe. She had neutralized threats in the deserts of the Middle East, extracted hostages from cartel strongholds in South America, and dismantled terrorist cells in Europe without ever leaving a trace. Her codename, Phantom, whispered in hushed tones among special forces circles, evoked fear in enemies and awe in allies. But to Emily, she was just Sis, the girl who shared her face, her secrets, and an unbreakable promise to protect each other no matter what. The trouble started on a crisp autumn evening when Emily drove into town for supplies. Willow Creek was a dot on the map, population 2,500, where everyone knew everyone else's business. At the local diner, she overheard whispers about a new crew rolling in, outsiders with tattoos snaking up their arms and eyes that scanned for weakness. They called themselves the Vipers, a gang of ex-cons and drifters led by a brute named Jax Harlan. Jax was built like a linebacker gone bad, with a rap sheet longer than the Mississippi. Assault, extortion, you name it. They'd blown into town like a storm, shaking down local businesses for protection, money and bullying anyone who stood in their way. Emily paid them no mind at first. She loaded her truck with feed sacks and headed home, the radio blaring country tunes about heartbreak and highways. But as she pulled onto the county road, a black SUV swerved in front of her, forcing her to slam on the brakes. 3 men piled out, Jax in the lead, smirking like he'd won the lottery. Well, farm girl, Jax drawled, his voice gravelly from too many smokes. Heard you Harper's got a nice spread out here. Time to pay up for safe passage. Emily's heart raced, but she kept her cool. I don't know what you're talking about. Move your vehicle, please. Her politeness only fueled their laughter. One of Jax's goons, a wiry guy named Rico, circled her truck, eyeing the Harper Farm logo on the door. Boss, this one's got spirit. Bet she thinks she's tough, growing up milking cows or whatever. Jax leaned in close, his breath reeking of cheap whiskey. Listen, sweetheart, we run this town now. Fork over $5,000 by Friday, or we'll make sure your pretty little farm goes up in smoke. Emily's hands trembled on the wheel, but she met his gaze. You don't scare me. Get out of my way. With a scoff, Jax signaled his men back to the SUV, but not before Rico slashed her tire with a knife, leaving her stranded as they sped off laughing. That night, Emily called Sarah. It had been months since they'd spoken. Sarah's deployments kept her off the grid, but the twins' connection was like a lifeline. Sis, these guys, they're bad news, Emily whispered into the phone, her voice cracking. Sarah's response was immediate, her tone steel-edged from years of command. I'm coming home, Em. No one touches my family. Little did Emily know, Sarah wasn't just coming for support, she was coming for war. Sarah arrived under the cover of darkness, slipping into the farmhouse like a shadow. The twins embraced, their identical features mirroring each other perfectly, same hazel eyes, same chestnut hair, same determined jawline. But where Emily's hands were calloused from plowing, Sarah's bore the faint scars of knife fights and shrapnel. Tell me everything, Sarah said, unpacking a duffel bag that clinked with concealed gear. Emily recounted the encounter, her fear turning to resolve as Sarah listened. They think we're weak, isolated. But they're wrong. We'll handle this my way, quiet, efficient. The next day, Sarah donned Emily's clothes, jeans, flannel shirt, and that same baseball cap. She took the truck into town, mimicking Emily's gentle wave to neighbors. The plan was simple: reconnaissance, scope out the vipers, hang out at the old mill on the outskirts. But fate, or perhaps Jax's arrogance, intervened. As Emily parked at the hardware store, the black SUV pulled up again. Jax hopped out, grinning ear to ear. Back so soon, farm girl. Decided to pay up early. Sarah kept her head down, channeling Emily's soft-spoken demeanor. I don't have the money yet. Her voice was a perfect match, years of twin pranks paying off. Jax's eyes narrowed. Then maybe we need to teach you a lesson. He nodded to Rico and a third guy, bulky Tommy, who grabbed her arms and dragged her toward an alley. The town was quiet, no one dared intervene. In the dim alley, Jax cracked his knuckles. You Harpers always think you're better than us townies. Time to humble you. He swung a fist toward her face, but Sarah exploded into action. She twisted free from Tommy's grip with a Delta Force disarm, her elbow smashing into his solar plexus. He crumpled, gasping. Rico lunged with his knife, but Sarah sidestepped, grabbing his wrist and snapping it like a twig. The crack echoed off the brick walls. Jax stared, dumbfounded, as Sarah delivered a precise kick to his knee, dropping him to the ground. Who the hell are you? Jax wheezed, clutching his leg. Sarah leaned in, her voice low and lethal. I'm the ghost you never saw coming. Touch my sister again, and you'll wish you hadn't. She zip-tied their hands with cords from her pocket, standard issue for ops, and left them groaning as she slipped away. Back at the farm, she relayed the takedown to Emily, who gaped in awe. You made it look easy. Sarah smiled faintly. Training. But this isn't over. They'll come for revenge. Sure enough, word spread like wildfire. Jax, humiliated, rallied his full crew, 8 men now, armed with bats and chains. They stormed the Harper farm that night, torches flickering in the dark. Burn it down. Jax bellowed, his knee bandaged but his rage unchecked. Emily hid in the basement, heart pounding, while Sarah positioned herself in the barn loft, sniper rifle assembled from her duffel. But here's the first twist. Sarah wasn't alone. Unbeknownst to Emily, Sarah had called in favors from her Delta days. 2 former teammates, ghosts like her, lurked in the shadows: Mike, a demolitions expert, and Lena, a close-quarters combat specialist. As the Vipers approached, Sarah picked off their tires with suppressed shots, stranding them in the open field. Panic set in as Mike's tripwires triggered flashbangs, blinding the intruders. Lena moved like a panther, disarming 2 with chokeholds before they could scream. Jax, realizing this was no ordinary farm defense, shouted for retreat, but Sarah dropped from the loft, confronting him head-on. You picked the wrong twin, Jax. Emily's the heart of this place. I'm the hammer. In a brutal hand-to-hand clash, Jax swung his bat, but Sarah dodged, countering with strikes that targeted pressure points. He went down hard, begging for mercy. The sheriff arrived minutes later, tipped off anonymously by Sarah, hauling the Vipers away in cuffs. Willow Creek breathed a sigh of relief, crediting a miracle, or guardian angel. Emily emerged, hugging Sarah tightly. You saved everything. But Sarah's eyes darkened. Not everything, Em. There's more to this. Twist number 2 unfolded in the aftermath. While interrogating Jax in jail, the sheriff uncovered ties to a larger syndicate, a drug ring using Willow Creek as a transit point for fentanyl smuggling across the Midwest. Jax wasn't just a bully, he was a pawn in a cartel operation. Sarah, piecing it together from intercepted comms hacked via her old contacts, realized the Vipers had targeted the Harper farm specifically because it sat on a hidden aquifer, perfect for underground storage tunnels. The Bullies' protection racket was a cover for scouting the land. Sarah confided in Emily, this goes deeper. The cartel knows about me, somehow. An old mission in Colombia, I took down their leader's brother. They're coming for revenge, using you as bait. Emily's world shattered. Why didn't you tell me? Sarah sighed. To keep you safe. But now, we fight together. The sisters fortified the farm, turning it into a fortress with motion sensors and booby traps. Emily, drawing on her own grit, learned basic self-defense from Sarah, proving she was no wilting flower. As predicted, the cartel's hit squad arrived, a dozen hardened mercenaries, equipped with night vision and automatics. The battle erupted at dawn, gunfire cracking the serene Iowa morning. Sarah's team reunited. Mike rigged explosives around the perimeter, detonating to funnel the attackers into kill zones. Lena provided cover fire from the silo. Emily, armed with a shotgun, defended the house, blasting an intruder through a window. Sarah moved through the chaos like a force of nature, picking off threats with precision. But in the melee, a twist struck hard. Jax, bailed out by the cartel, ambushed Sarah from behind, stabbing her in the side. Pain exploded, but Sarah spun, disarming him with a headbutt. You never learn, she growled, zip-tying him again. Emily rushed to her aid, applying pressure to the wound. The remaining mercenaries fled as sirens wailed, FBI this time, alerted by Sarah's encrypted call. The cartel link exposed, federal agents swarmed, dismantling the operation. In the hospital, Sarah recovered, her Delta legend intact but her secret shared with Emily. We're twins, two sides of the same coin. You ground me, I protect you. Emily nodded, tears in her eyes. And together, we're unstoppable. Willow Creek hailed them as heroes, though Sarah slipped away before the press arrived, back to the shadows. But the final twist lingered. Months later, Emily received a package, no sender. Inside, a medal from a classified op, with a note, for the real hero. Love, Phantom. Sarah had faked her return to duty, she was staying close, watching over her twin. In America's heartland, legends don't retire, they endure. Years passed, but the bond held. Emily expanded the farm, turning it into a community hub for veterans, inspired by Sarah's service. And Sarah. She became the unseen guardian, ensuring no bully ever darkened their door again.